Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me. I was asked to be a guest designer with Dr. Digi this month, and I decided that I wanted to make an altered book. It's creepy, it's cool, it's nostalgic. I know it's not for everyone, but I know that some of you are going to like it, and it's a gift for someone really special in my life, and I hope that they like it when they get it too. So again, I was asked to be a guest with Dr. Digi, and Dr. Digi makes a ton of digital stamps. So this is different from working with like red rubber or clear photopolymer. This is a digital stamp. So you have it on your computer or your laptop, and then you can print them out. You can change the sizes to whatever you want, and it gives you a bit of freedom that you don't normally get with regular stamps because it's digital. So I love working with Digis. I haven't done it in a while, so this was really fun, and I can't wait for you to see this book. So I used a die set from Poppy Stamps to make the book itself, and from Dr. Digi, I worked with their Killer Kitties collection, and it's all Hello Kitty, but creepy. I'll let you watch, and I hope that you enjoy this. And if Halloween and scary Hello Kitty isn't your thing, there'll be something for you soon, I promise. But this was so much fun to make, so I hope you enjoy watching this video.
We are going to start off by coloring Hello Freddy mono. The mono means that they are uncolored. You can get pre-colored versions on the Dr. Digi website, but I, of course, love to color, so I opted to go with the monos so that I can color them myself. So I grabbed a bunch of Copics. If you missed what colors I used there, don't worry about it. I've got them all listed in my description box, so you can definitely check them out over there. So I kept things super duper simple with this. Hello Kitty is typically colored pretty flat. There's really no shading done, but I struggle with not shading, so I opted to just shade a little. If this was, a different type of image, like non-Hello Kitty, I would have shaded more, but I wanted to keep it similar to what, to the way that Hello Kitty is styled, but just with a little bit more depth and shadow and highlights. So typically using only 2 colors for each section as opposed to 3, although I think I'm going to break out just 2. Yeah, I think I'm sticking with 2. Normally I'd use 3 to 4 with a lot of things, but I'm really trying to not go overboard. Hello Kitty is great for beginners to color because, again, you can just stick with flat color. But I just like to give some shading to everything. So we're doing this funky hat that he's got. Is this a fedora? It seems like a fedora. I think so. Did you ever watch the Freddy Krueger movies? I have to say, I'm not the biggest horror fan, but Freddy was always probably at the top of my list of horror movies that I'd want to watch. I don't know why. I just always liked them best. Back when I was in, I want to say 7th and 8th grade, or maybe it was the summer between 7th and 8th grade. That's what it was. A bunch of my friends would go over to a mutual friend's house, and we would just watch horror movies all day over the summer. We watched the Freddy movies. We watched the Jason movies. I'll be bringing up Pinhead later, and I have to be honest, I never saw that movie, but it's all right. It's all right. I can always watch it eventually, but Freddy was always top notch for me. I don't know. Okay, so we're doing his infamous sweater right now. Gotta have those red stripes, right? That was always a costume I wanted to do. I wanted to be like a gender bending Freddy Krueger. I just thought that would be kind of cool. Haven't done it yet. Maybe one of these days. That means I'd get to get a brown fedora, which I don't have. I have a black one, but not a brown one. That would be cool. So I'm putting the blood on the spikes, the claws of the glove. And don't worry, we will be coloring the glove too. And I've got this silver gel pen because, you want it to be shiny. If you don't have a silver gel pen or silver marker, you can absolutely just use shades of gray. But I had it, so it was perfect. We're using the same browns for the glove that we used for the hat. And we're just going to kind of, again, super basic coloring, just kind of going back and forth, making sure everything is nice and smooth. And that's our Hello Freddy. I love it. That's my favorite. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Hello Jason Mono. Again, the mono just means that it's a black and white image as opposed to the pre-colored ones that you can get on the Dr. Digi site. There are more than the 3 Hello Kitty Digis that I'm using. There's a bunch of them. I don't have them, but I might need to go back and get them because I had so much fun making this project. So we're working with Jason, like I said, and we're starting off with his hockey mask. And I'm using a very neutral color here because we want it to look kind of like bone. I don't want it white. I want it dirty and old looking. And then we're going to go in and shade it just a little bit. We're going to keep the shading to a minimum, keep the highlighting to a minimum, just giving it a little bit more depth than Hello Kitty typically would have. But I just can't resist, you guys. I just can't resist. So let me know in the comments below which of these 3 Hello Kitty Digis you like best. And also if you are a horror movie fan or not. If you want to take it a step further, tell me what your favorite horror movie is. I don't know if I have a favorite. Again, it's been a very long time since I've watched any horror movies. My husband is not a fan of horror, so we don't watch it together at all. Definitely when I was, in between 7th and 8th grade is when I watched the most horror movies. I don't know. It's not my favorite genre. Nothing wrong with it, just not my favorite. My sister's a huge horror fan. Huge, huge, huge. She's seen them all, probably more than once, especially the B grade movies. Those are, I think, her favorites. Her boyfriend is like a ginormous horror fan, so he's going to probably like this little booklet as well, even though he's not a huge Hello Kitty fan, but I think that he's going to appreciate the sweetness of Hello Kitty with the scariness of these horror movie characters. I really liked doing this jumpsuit. These shades of blue really look like denim to me. They're a little bit lighter than I think they would be in the movie, but it's Hello Kitty, it's all good. I just liked picking out these colors and trying to make them similar to, what they would be in the movie so that, it's even more recognizable as to who they are. But if you don't know, well, then maybe you need to brush up on your pop culture. I don't know. We're going to keep smoothing this out, going back and forth with those colors. I did use 3 colors on the jacket here because I felt it was necessary. I really wanted that blue to stand out. There's not a lot of colors in this book. It's mostly browns and reds and blacks. So I really wanted that blue to pop. We're doing some browns. I believe that these are all the same browns that I used on Freddy. And they worked really well for the straps here too. I don't really know what else I can tell you about this, but I didn't want to speed up the coloring so much that you missed what I was doing. But I had a really good time playing with these. I was going through the Dr. Digi website and I found a bunch of things that I thought were really cool. And then I came across these and I was like, nope, done. This is what we're doing. I know exactly who I'm going to make things for with them. I have a few people in mind. This project, like I said in the beginning, is specifically made for one person. But I have a few other folks that are going to really like getting cards and things with these scary kitties on them. So I've got my silver gel pen again, and miraculously, it was actually working. Typically, gel pens work for a little while, then they don't, then they have off days, just like people do. I don't know. It was working that day, and I was real happy. We are up to Hello Pinhead. We're going to bring in some bluish greens in this one that tie back kind of to what we just did with Jason, although they're different shades, but it's going to make it all work together and not make that blue stand out so much that it doesn't really work. I've also got a Spectrum Noir metallic marker here in antique bronze because we need to use the puzzle box. We want that metallic, right? So here you might see this and be like, oh, look at all those pins. This is going to be so hard and take forever. And how are you going to color around them? Don't color around them, you guys. Just color over the whole thing. It's fine. You can see here that with this BG that I'm just going right over them. We're going to break out that silver gel pen again, and it is going to cover all of that color beautifully. Now, if you're not using a metallic gel pen or a metallic marker, and you're only using like, say, other Copics, then yes, you probably will want to avoid using the pins and then just go over it with a gray. But we don't need to do that here. So that blue-green was super dark, which I knew it was going to be. But I went back in. I think that this is brick white, which is one of my most used colors. And there it is. There's that silver gel pen. And that lightened up that color just enough because it's got a lot of alcohol and not a lot of pigment in it. So that worked really well with pulling that color back to a shade that I wanted for the Pinhead. We're going to get to the silver gel pen later. I think I actually didn't record all of that because really, do you need to see me coloring 500 silver circles? No. But we're just doing his jacket, cloak. Again, I didn't see this movie. I don't know. But it's supposed to be black. I didn't want to color it completely black because I did want to have some highlights in there. I didn't want it to be super solid because then the arms would disappear and that fold in the front would disappear. So using some very dark grays was the right thing to do. Just blending that out, making sure it's nice and smooth. Look at that. Love it. And now we get to, what am I doing with that? I don't remember. Guys, I made this video like 2 weeks ago and I'm just getting to the voiceover now. I'm having some problems with my video editing. My rendering of the video is taking far longer than it should. Excuse my teal hair. I had to get right on top of it. I wasn't sure if the marker was going to cover up the black lines. So I was being really careful at first, and then I realized, oh, it's not. We can just color it all in. We're fine. So when I'm rendering my videos, it's taking twice as long for the video to render than the video actually is. So if I have a 10-minute video, it's taking at least 20 minutes to save and do its thing. And I tell you what, it's really annoying. So I was trying to figure out what the problem was. Still haven't figured it out. So this video is going to take about an hour to render. But yeah, so now we got the red bow, the iconic red bow. Had to have that somewhere in this, right? Love it. Same reds as before. Again, I apologize for my teal hair coming in the way, but I needed to see what I was doing a little bit. And this fella is almost done. Fella, girl, it's Hello Kitty. Did you know, here's a fun fact. Did you know that Hello Kitty is not a kitty? Hello Kitty is actually a girl dressed up as a kitty. Crazy, right? I know. Make sure you get that strap on the side there. I almost forgot about it. Here we go. Now we're going to do all of the... And yeah, I found that out recently. And also, did you know, it is Hello Kitty's 50th anniversary. There we go. Look at that. That metallic shine on the puzzle box and the pins. My goodness, you guys. I love how they came out. I love them so much. I want to do them on like Shrinky Dinks and then shrink them down and make jewelry out of them. Wouldn't that be so cool? I'm going to have to do it. You guys. I don't know when. Probably not soon, but it's going to happen. Onto the book. I grabbed the Immortal Love die cuts with a view stack. This was from like the Twilight era. And I cut a bunch of the basic junk journal dies from Poppy stamps. But I cut off that bottom piece. I don't know if you saw me like fake snipping the bottom. I removed that because I didn't really want it there. So those are all removed from there. This is such a fun die set. There are so many cool little extras in it. I've used it in a video before. Make sure you check that out. I'll try to remember to link it below. If I don't link it, it will be in with my mixed media playlist for sure, as will this. So I'm attaching a bunch of these together. I've got 3 of them here, and I'm using artist craft glue to adhere them together. There are different ways that you can do this. If you know how to bookbind, have a blast. I don't do that. So I just decided to glue them all together this way. You could even do it in an accordion fold kind of way, but I wanted it more of a book. So I cut out a few more of the basic junk journal dies with the Immortal Love stack, and now I'm going to start piecing them together. This is a little finicky, because I'm cutting apart something and I'm trying to glue it to something that is the same size, which is fine. But then the middle area, you'll wind up seeing a little bit. You'll see how I remedy that later. But also, I didn't want the outer piece to wrap around the outer sides of the book, okay? Because it would have created like this weird alligator effect and it wouldn't have fit properly. So I needed to just cut a bunch of them and then cut them in half and then make them all work, as you can see that I did here. So I cut that down, and now that is one piece that's covered. So here we go. We've got them all done, but you can see all of that white along the edge, and I am not a fan. So I grabbed some love letter from Imagine. This is Memento ink, which is a really great red, but in this case, it was the wrong red, and I did not like it at all. It was way too bold. So I grabbed R59 in my Copics, and I went around the edges, and then I was like, we're going to just hide all of that love letter on this. And then I went to R29 to kind of blend it, and I just wasn't really working. So I went back to the R59, and it's like, you know what? This is going to be much better. So then we're going to go around the edges of the book and the tabs and the center line. See that here? Because that white is just making me crazy. With 2020 hindsight, maybe I should have cut all of the main pieces out of black, but I didn't. So it's okay. It just adds a little extra something. And you can see that the tabs are in two different spots. It's because I flipped the little junk journal book around, so that the tabs weren't all just in the same spot. There was some separation there. So these dies here that I just showed you are also from the basic junk journal set. So cute. You get these little envelopes, you get little folders, you get little pockets, little letters. Look at how cute that is. So ridiculous. I mean, in this case, it's not exactly cute because it's a horror show on purpose. But it's a really great die set. I highly recommend you check it out. I hope it's still available. So now I've got my pencil, and I am writing out Killer Kitties because that's the name of this collection from Dr. Digi. I also thought about going with Scary Kitties, which is what the title of this video is, because, I didn't think that K word was appropriate for a title. On YouTube, I didn't want to get flagged or anything, so we went with that. It could have worked either way, whatever. I've got my red Posca pen, and I decided that I wrote that too far down. This is why we do things in pencil first, kids. This is why. So I bumped it up a little bit, and it's kind of scratchy. Look, I am not a letterist. Okay, is that the word? I don't know. I'm not so good with handwriting and calligraphy. I used to do calligraphy, but that was probably before I watched horror movies. So I'm just trying to do something that looks kind of drippy and semi-cool. Whatever. I've got a couple of drips coming off of the letters. Just have a good time. We're not getting graded on this stuff. I know that the person that is receiving this is going to love it no matter how I write this title out, so I'm not too concerned. However, I thought that the Posca pen was too bright. So I don't think I have it on camera, but I went back over it with that same red Copic or dark red Copic that I used earlier, and I dulled it down quite a bit. So here I have one of my favorite products of all time that you can no longer get, and I am so sorry. It's called Irresistibles. It's from Imagine, and this is actually in the color Love Letter also. It's the same color story as the Memento collection, okay? This stuff makes the greatest blood ever. I've been using it for years and years and years, and I'm obsessed with it. Anytime I need blood, this is the stuff I break out. Unfortunately, you can't get it in this spray form anymore. Not that I've ever sprayed it. I just don't think it's necessary. I always just use the nozzle to kind of drip it on. You can get it, though, in what's called a Pico embellisher. So if you've seen me do anything where I use on-point glue, it's the same kind of bottle and nozzle. So you could still open it up and drip it out, okay? It's just a little runnier than the stuff that I just used. But it is still available. You can get that on the Imagine website. Okay, so I adhered my little pocket on the side. And now I have this cobweb, this spooky web stencil from A Colorful Life Designs, and I've got my Nocturne ink, and I am sponging the Nocturne onto this background, just to give it a little something extra, add a little bit more. And that's where Freddy's going to live. Freddy's going to live on the first page because Freddy's my favorite, and Freddy got top priority. So, also, by the way, you want to make sure that you let that Irresistibles, no matter what form you have it in, dry really well before you start messing around with it, because it'll get everywhere. So I've got these stickers from Tim Holtz. This is the Halloween collection. These are a few years old, and I'm grabbing a couple of 13s. You'll see a 13 here, and then I'll have a 13 with Jason as well. And I went through the stickers and tried to find a bunch of things. I was hoping to find something about dreams, but there was nothing, because that would have been perfect for Freddy. But I did find the I Believe You're Scared, and I thought that was appropriate too. So I like this paper because it's already looking pretty drippy without me having to do anything. And I think it's really cool. Immortal love, vampires, blood, etc., etc. It just worked. So I've got some more stickers. I think this is another 13. Yeah, that says 13th on it. And then I found Vanishing Visitors, which I thought worked really well. And now we're going to... The ugliness... What does it say? The ugliness hurts like physical pain. I mean, doesn't that work perfectly for Pinhead? Because, it's painful to look at him. Yeah? I've got the entomology set from Tim Holtz. I love this set. I use it all the time, not just for creepy stuff. But again, I thought that the bugs would work really well with Jason. And now I've got some crypt paste, because we're doing a mixed media project. We got to have some crypt paste on here somewhere. I'm using a palette knife that has a nice pointy edge to it, and I'm just smearing some of it on, making a mess of it on purpose. On purpose, you guys, I promise. Because I want it super textured and, creepy looking. So we're going to smear that down, and I think I put it in a couple of other spots as well. But it's fun stuff. Yeah, we're going to add some you can see that I added another one of those pockets, because I felt like it needed it, and it's another spot for me to write a private note to the recipient. And there it is. Look at that crypt. And I like how it dries down. It's really kind of light in color right now. Once it dries, it's going to get greener and creepier. You guys, check this out. This is a real newspaper article. So many, many years ago, there was an Etsy shop, and they sent me a packet of ephemera that had all sorts of stuff, like travel agency booklets and newspaper articles, dictionary pages. And I was like, oh, I can break that out. Maybe I'll find something to use. Then I found this actual newspaper article that is about a murder. And I was like, oh, it's perfect. It's just perfect. So I'm using some collage medium to apply it to the page with Freddy. And I'm going to tear off some of the excess. I want it to be rough and messy and all of that, because, it's a torn out newspaper article. I have no idea when it's from, but I got to tell you, I was so excited to find it. I mean, look, a murder is a horrible thing, and I'm sorry that somebody had to deal with this, like their family and all of that. It's awful, but for this situation, gosh, I hope that you guys don't hate me for saying all of these things. For this situation, it was totally perfect to have this article. So I of the article, and I tore that off and I put it on the next page with Jason, because I thought it really worked. There were all sorts of fun. It's not fun, you guys. It's horrible. The prosecutor said marks on the woman's body indicated that she had been blah, 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 blah. I'm going to leave it at that. But it's a newspaper article, so there's a lot of information there. And it was just the right thing for this book. So the collage medium leaves a bit of a sheen that the paper doesn't have. And I didn't like how it looked on this particular page. So I went over the entire page with the collage medium so that it all went together. I didn't do that on the page with Freddy because I didn't think it was necessary. But on the other one, it looked off. So I decided to just cover the whole thing. So these little letters here were just too bright and happy, right? So I grabbed some antique linen and I just aged the heck out of it by letting the texture of the pad apply color to the smooth cardstock that I was using. It just aged it perfectly. It made it grungy, and it's exactly what I needed. Check that out, you guys. Oh, so good. I love it. Okay, so I have since gone over the title with the Copic marker, like I mentioned earlier. It was the Posca first, then I went over it to darken it with the Copic, and now I'm using my silver gel pen to apply some highlights because it was blending too much. I wasn't really loving it, and I figured, we'll just see how this looks, and it was fine. I'm happy with how that turned out in the end. It's got a little bit of shine. It highlights those letters, and again, my gel pen was working that day, and I was real happy about it because sometimes it is just it's not easy to get the gel pens to work. Take a look at this. Oh, I love it so much. I know it's not for everybody, you guys, but at the very least, even if Hello Kitty isn't your jam, guys, all right, hold on. This stamp set is from when I was like 5. I keep it on my desk. I have another one that has little twin stars. I got it at the Sanrio store that was near me when I was little. I was a member of the sticker club there, and it was my favorite store, probably of all time. Yeah. So I stamped that Hello Kitty just for nostalgic purposes on the back, but I used Silvery Shimmer Delicata ink, but it just wasn't showing enough. I didn't really like it, so I grabbed Lumberjack Plaid Distress Embossing Glaze, and I just embossed it real quick. And it's subtle. I know it's subtle, but that's kind of what I wanted. I just wanted it to be like a little extra surprise, like, oh, what's that? It's a very, very, very old stamp of Hello Kitty. I know that this isn't for everybody, but I hope you learned a couple of things. I'd like to thank Dr. Digi for having me as a guest. I had so much fun making this. I love how it turned out, and I can't wait for my recipient to actually receive it and find out what they think of it, because I know they're going to love it too. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you made it to the end, I appreciate you very much. I will be back very soon with something not so controversial. Have a great day, everybody. Be well, stay safe. Peace out.